calendar's time, and keeping track of those can be the base of so many different game mechanics, like day and night cycles, seasoned, timed encounters, timed quests, growing vegetation, and everything. So, yeah, let's start by creating it. Here we go. So first things first, we are gonna create the blueprint, and it's gonna be an actor blueprint. Once we go in, we do not really have to add anything to it in the viewport, and we're not gonna need the overlap event. What we are gonna need is to advance time, and therefore the calendar day, the hour, and everything else. And one way we can do that is we are just gonna promote it to a variable and yeah, call it delta seconds. So what this does is basically give us the time that it takes to render each frame. And we can actually calculate the seconds from it. And so far, this is all we are gonna do. And then we are gonna create a custom event. And first things first, we are gonna create a few variables. And we are gonna set the seconds. And seconds are gonna be, so we are gonna add the delta second to the current seconds, and that's gonna give us the elapsed time. And next we are gonna check if the elapsed time or elapsed seconds has exceeded 60. So if this is greater than 60, or actually greater than 59, we are gonna advance the minutes and increment it. Of course, we are gonna create a branch. And before that, we are gonna set the seconds back to 0. So every time we reach 59, well, since this is a float, let's do it this way. So every time our seconds exceed 59, we are gonna set it back to 0 and increment the minutes by 1. And now we are gonna do the exact same thing just for minutes. Beep and click creates a branch. Increment the hours by 1, and we are gonna set the minutes back to 0. And the same process for the hours. It's gonna get a bit tricky after the days. Actually, these can go back to 60, not 59. My bad. This is 24. And we increment the hours before the branch, not after. And if it's true, we are gonna advance the day, and I am gonna create a function, which will also require a few new variables. And actually, I am gonna create an integer array, and I am gonna call it days and months. And by the way, if we go back to the event graph, here basically you can set any format you want. You can have 30-second minutes and 4-day minute hours, whatever you want. Same goes for days. And actually, we can do, if we want to control the speed of time, because now this is like real time. If we actually want to control this, we can multiply it. I'm just going to promote this to a variable, and I'm going to call it speed time. I'm going to actually make it visible. I'm going to make it an integer because perfect. And I'm gonna set the default value to 1 and add that to the seconds. What this does is you can control how quick time is. So if it's if you set it to 2, then every 1 second, 2 game seconds pass. Something like that. And we're gonna call advanced state true. Compile, save, and go back to our advanced state function. And what we are gonna do is get the days, increment it, and here we have the days in months variable. I am actually gonna change this to an array, and since my years this time are gonna have 12 months, we are gonna create 12 elements of this array, and we are gonna put however many days each month have. So January has 31, February 28, and we are actually gonna include the leap year logic here. Okay, and that's done. And here comes the actual logic. After we have updated the years, or days, my bad, I'm actually gonna create a branch here. And based on what year it is, we are gonna act differently. So one thing I wanna check is if we're gonna get our year from here, and we are gonna do a division like that, and remainder, and we are gonna divide it by 4 because every 4th year is a leap year, and we are gonna check if the remainder equals to 0, because if it equals to 0, that means that we are in a 4th year, therefore it's not a leap year. But in that case, we have in the second month, we have 29 days. So actually we need another condition, and that's gonna be, we're gonna get the month, not that month. We're gonna get this one, and we are gonna check if our current month equals to 2. Which reminds me, we have to set the default values because we start from year 1, month 1, and day 1. We can leave these at 0, that doesn't matter. So, and actually we want to check if both of these are true. So we are in the second month of a leap year, and that's gonna be our condition. Now, the way we act differently is very simple. We are gonna add 1 to the month that we have in our leap year. And yeah, what we need for that is we are gonna get this array, and then we are gonna get copy of whichever month we are at, and we can add that from here. And we can just straight plug it in, but that wouldn't work perfectly because indexes start from 0. So we actually have to subtract 1 because indexes start from 0, but our months start from 1. And this way it's gonna be correct. Now, if our condition is true, we actually have to add a 29th day to February, but we can do that easily. We can just add 1, and we can be sure that if we are in the true, we have to add 1. If we are in the false, we just use this like this. So we won't have to add one. And let's just create 2 more branches, which come from here, here, so that we can keep this flowing. And our condition is gonna be the same as how we advance the hours. We will check if, yeah, it's gonna be the same as before, how we advance the hours. We have the days, and we will have to check if the days are greater than however many days we have in our month. So that's going to be the same both times. We check if our current day, which just advanced, is greater than the days in that specific month. So if it's January, we are checking if the current day is bigger than 31, because if it's bigger, then we have to reset it to the first and advance the month, which is what we are going to do now. So we are just going to get the month here. Control D duplicates the node, and we are going to increment this. And we are going to set day back to 0 in such a way. And from here now, actually, we don't even need the bottom one here. So yeah, this is going to be our leap year logic. Perfect. And from here on out, it's going to be very straightforward. We are going to, again, check if months is bigger than 12 after incrementing. Because if it's bigger than 12, then we have run out of year. But if you have like 16-month years, you can change that. Or if you want to have different number of months in each year, depending on any condition you want, you can make this dynamic. You can just promote it to a variable, you can set it public, you can control it from a blueprint, whatever you want. For me, I'm going with the Gregorian calendar, or Gregorian calendar. So it's going to be 12 months. So if we are bigger than 12, we are going to increment the year. Obviously, only if our condition is true. And not before we set the month back to 0. And now we can increment our year, and we don't actually have to do anything with this. So this is about the whole logic for incrementing time or date. So if we go back to the event graph, we advance the time, and actually we can just, let me organize this. Let's by default set it to like 300 for now, just so we can better check how quickly time elapses. And actually in the tick, we always have to update the time, like so. And let's actually print out our date. Okay, so like a real quick print string display, we can actually set the duration for this. And we can save. This is not permanent, this is so just we can see. So as you can see, we are advancing. So the day didn't advance. We forgot to reset the day or the hour. So we forgot to reset the hour after we incremented it, which was silly from us. Let's fix that. We have incremented the hours twice. Let's try that one again. 24. And the day decreases. I switched it up. Here was the problem. This should be turned around. Now it should work. Let's quickly confirm. And now we are working. As you can see, we have reached day 2. Now we do have a working calendar of sorts. We can actually create a widget for this. It's gonna go to user interface, widget blueprint, user widget. And what I want to do is, real quickly, I'm just gonna add a few. First, I'm gonna add a canvas. This, and inside the canvas, I'm gonna add a few text notes to be exact. It's not gonna be very fancy. One is gonna be the date, one is gonna be the time. Now, we want the time displayed in our time text box, and we can do that by, and here in content text, we are gonna create a binding for it. This is gonna be the get time text. How are we gonna do that? Well, we are gonna access our calendar from this. And the way we are gonna do it is we're gonna create a variable, and I'm gonna make it a calendar, and the type of it is gonna be the calendar system we just created. Calendar system blueprint object reference. Perfect. And we are just plug it in here. And what we are gonna do is get our time from it. Not speed of time, we are gonna get the hours, and we are gonna get the minutes. And if we go back in here somewhere, yeah, calendar system blueprint, I am gonna be doing it this way. I'm very lazy, and we don't need this anyway. I'm just gonna delete this. And with this, we have a widget that displays time. But by default, we don't have the calendar in here, so we will have to go into our level blueprint. Again, you can get that from here, up here. You just click on this and open the level blueprint. This is the blueprint for your level. And to get your calendar system here, I'm just going to break this link here so that we don't display my example calendar. To display that, we go in. The blueprint has to be in the level. You click on this. This is calendar system. You click on it. And when you right click in here, you can create a reference to whatever your active blueprint is. So we create a reference. So to add our widget to our screen, we are just come out here and we are gonna create a widget, like that, and select our class. For me, it was Suits calendar widget blueprint, like that. Perfect. We don't need an only player because it belongs to the level. We are gonna set the return value to a variable so that we can access it easily. I'm gonna link this to this, and we are gonna add this to the viewport. Drag out from the output and to viewport, and we actually need to set, if we go back to our widget, we have the calendar variable. we actually have to set that. So come on from here and set calendar, which is the variable of the widget blueprint. Connect this up, and this is where we plug in what we have in our level. Perfect. So if we do that, start, up there is our time. So if I just up here, that's our time. Now currently our speed is pretty high by default, but if I set it to 1, it goes by seconds. And we have a text block because we didn't set it for the date just yet. I'm just gonna exit out, go back to our widget blueprint, and the event graph, not in the event graph, in the designer, I'm gonna go to the second text block, which is our date, and create a binding. And we are gonna do something very similar to what we did for the time. We are gonna get our calendar in here, we're gonna get it, and we're gonna start year. And now we actually have our date in the same way as we have our time. If we actually check it real quick, we actually check it real quick, you can see that now we have time and we have our date. Of course, if you go back to your calendar system and let's say, I don't know, 1968, and we want this to be 5th, not 58th, but the 5th of, let's say, March. Save. You can see now we are in 1968, 5th of March, or March 5th, because the order I put it in. Of course, this is entirely up to you and the design of the widget as well. So let's actually decide whether we want. Okay, let's actually add the fun little thing called day of the week, which is, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday. Anyway, let's add that to our date. Now, this is a little bit more complicated than one might think. We will have to use Zeller's congruence formula, which is actually sounds intimidating. It's not really. I will put it on the screen. And I am actually not gonna recreate that one. I will just show you how it is. This is how the function looks like. I am gonna copy this and explain how this works in our own widget blueprint. I'm just gonna create a quick function and paste it in here. What we need first for the function, we need few input values. And the way we do that is click on add input. I'm gonna call it here day. And we are gonna do an output. Oh yeah, actually, here just go down output. This is gonna be a string day of the week. And we are gonna create this variable too called variable days of the week, which is basically just add 6 days or 7. And, you know, just Monday. I was lazy, my bad. And we're gonna So this is how it should look like. I encourage you to copy this. So what you see here, F year, F month, those are necessary changes for the formula to work. Because the way Zeller's formula works is if it's January or February, as you can see here, first or second month, we actually treat them as 13th and 14th month of the year. And have to subtract from the year, obviously, because otherwise, so we take it away from next year, essentially. And if it's not January or February, then we just carry on as usual. And here's the actual calculation, which is fairly easy. We create, well, I'm not going to explain the math behind it because I don't know. But basically, you have to create the sum of these values. I have put them in lines. So these 5 values. And then modulate it with 7. And then you will get a number between 0 and 6. And that's why we set up the days of the week. Because if it's 0, it's Monday, and so on. Actually, I think we have to start it from Saturday, but you get the gist. Let's compile and save, and in the get date text, let's just edit the date week like this. And actually, what I want is I want this to be a pure function. Can it be? Can be. So let's plug in the days, months, and years. Plug this in. And if we hit play now, it's either Tuesday or Thursday on this particular day. If we change the day, we change the default for the day quick, then from 5 to 17, we should get a different day. And what luck gives is we have either Tuesday or Thursday again. So actually, let's check that so that I haven't messed up. Entirely possible. So we are on a Tuesday, and now we have reached Wednesday. So it does work. So perfect, that's it for the date. So in the next episode, we are gonna create a day and night cycle based on our time values, and we are gonna actually make it flexible so we can have 8-hour nights and 16-hour days, so not just a 12-12 split. We are gonna add this beautiful night sky, which can look funny because we have funny stuff in there, but it doesn't really matter. So we are gonna create a different night sky and day sky. I will show you the math on how to actually change the length of the night and the day. And that actually opens up the avenue that when we add the seasons, we can actually adjust that accordingly. So I really hope that you will stick around. If you're curious, please subscribe, it helps me out a lot. And of course, you won't miss out on any of the upcoming tutorials, neither the seasons nor the day and night cycle, nor will you miss out on any of my future content, and I do plan some good stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you next time.